Hello, guys. Please forgive me. Technology is not my friend right now, but I am here, and Angel is also not here right now due to certain things that she has going on. But she will be tuning in, so you guys don't worry because we have a special guest, Miss Marcia, and she is gonna help us with our show tonight. So with that being said, you guys, I know y'all missed us last week. Y'all sent emails and everything, especially LB. Thank you so much. It was so thoughtful. And we just want to know that we here. We're back. We're not going. You guys still gonna have a great show. So I'm gonna speak in Angel's voice because Angel is not here right now. So let me get my Angel voice on. Welcome to the overnight shift, where hard conversations are tackled and juicy stories are shared from a millennial perspective. I'm your girl Angel, and I'm your boy Rodney Wash. This is a sacred space where where all are welcome, no matter what creed, what race, what sex, or what sexual orientation you are, and all viewpoints are respected. And everything else will be blocked, you guys. This is a show for free opinions, free thinkers. You don't have to hide. This is why the show is created, because we want you to come on and talk and be you. And if somebody's being ugly and nasty for what someone said, you will be blocked. All right, because this is a no judgment zone, you guys. And free claimer show is not factual, it's only opinions, okay? But now it's time, you guys, to go into our viewers vault. Okay, let's see, is the thing going to work for me this time, because you know this good old internet is something serious. Okay, guys, while that is loading up, I just want to say this show, I know this election probably had a lot of you guys like shocked, like your nerves are probably shot, and I just want y'all to know that, you know, we here for you. We here to laugh. You can't see my shirt, but my shirt's supposed to say love. Let me see if I can beat it down. Can you see it? Let me see. Love. Because all you need right now, you guys, is just a little love and a little tenderness, and we can all get through this thing together. All right. I swear, you guys, this is why. Okay. Hold on. Oh, Jesus. I cannot. The viewers vault, whenever the viewers vault come up. See, this is why this is nothing but Trump. Trump is trying, you know what, let me stop doing that. Might have people watching. But this is why. You know, this is really, really crazy. All right. Whew. I mean, for real, this is horrible. This is so not cool. It's so unprofessional. Whenever the viewer load up. Oh, it finally load up. Okay. All right. So this is from the viewers vault, you guys. Okay, so today's viewer vault question. How would you handle if your boyfriend / girlfriend siblings doesn't like you? Now, I thought this was a very, very interesting question, and let me type it in here as well. How would you handle if your BF / GF siblings didn't like you? Okay, so with that being said, you guys, when you know, how would you handle if your BF / GF siblings didn't like you? I would say this. Honestly, you guys, sometimes family can be so, you know, like so nitpicky that they just want everything, want to be all in your business, don't want you to be happy, just don't want you to help anyone. Watch out for them, okay? Because they are just miserable people. I'm sorry. I'm not being rude. You guys just keeping it 100. Because misery loves company. And I would never understand why my sibling or I just couldn't understand that. Why you don't want me to be happy. Now, sometimes we could be so overly in love that we don't even look and try to see what they are coming from. I'm all about facts. So if you give me a factual thing that happened when you was around and my boyfriend at the time said something crazy that you didn't like, then yes, please, 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 please let me know. But at least let me be happy. This is the problem. Sometimes people don't like to see you happy. And I know that's shocking to a lot of people, but it can be your own family members sometimes. So they'll be like, oh, like I want you to blah, blah, blah. And I want this for you. But when you have it, don't even want to like respect your time. They don't want to come around. They just, so when you sing it, they don't call you like that. They just want to be all in your business. And I just be like, is this really what you want to do? Like, you didn't really care for my well-being. You just really want me to just be miserable like your miserable ass. Okay. So that is it for the Viewers Vault. If you want your Viewers Vault question to be answered, please send us an email at overnightshift@gmail.com, or you go to our website at www.overnichtshift.com. Okay, you guys. So the topic of the day. Ooh, the topic of the day. Okay. So the topic of the day, guys, is asking for what you want. Oh my gosh. I feel like when you're in a relationship or even your friendships at your job, how many people just don't know how to ask for what they want? They just really be like so stuck. And like you're so used to being a giver. And sometimes we can still have some of these long relationships, you guys, and we just keep giving and giving and giving. And we just forget about our needs and wants. So we suppress our feelings, we suppress our sexual desires just so we can have someone. Or just because we're scared of what someone might think of us. And I feel like you can be authentic with yourself and your partner. Your relationship is doomed to fail, you guys. And I just had to go to the good old web. So according to psychology today, when it comes to sex, many people also find it difficult to ask directly about having their specific needs met. That is deep. Let me read that one more time. That is really, really, really deep, you guys. According to psychology today, when it comes to sex, many people also find it difficult to ask directly about having their specific needs met. Either they are embarrassed, shy, or afraid of the ridicule or rejection. Oh my gosh, that used to be me. It would seem natural for people to be able to reveal their deep desire, particularly in a long-term relationship. So, you guys, I don't know what to say because sometimes you have to ask for what you want, and we have a specialist that's here to help us with that. Let's see her tune in. So I'm just going to bring her on. Her name is Marcia. So let's tune in with Marcia.
Hello.
Hi, Marcia. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming on. We have an expert with this topic. Oh my God, I feel like this is what her platform is all about. So let me read a little bit. So people are not familiar with you, Marcia. Let me read your wonderful bio. You have so much going on. I'm going to try to summarize it for you, okay?
Yeah.
For the people. Co-founder of Cuddle Party. I like that. Maria has tens of thousands of people to speak up for the kind of touch they want, like the touch. Say no unapologetically and foster more connected, affectionate relationships. Her popular virtual course, The Good Girl Recovery Room, helps women to break out of the roles that keeps them small and unsatisfied. What about the gay people? A move.
I can talk about that.
Yes. And move into being more of who they are in all areas of their lives. Okay, Maria. So,
Marcia,
can you
Marcia.
please? Oh, Marcia. I'm sorry. I read it wrong.
Okay.
I gave you the wrong name. It's right here. Marcia. It's clear right here. I'm sorry. This connection is not where it needs to be, and but we gonna move on. Marcia, did I call you Marie the whole time?
It's okay. Everybody gets my name wrong. So I'm used, as far as asking for what you want, one of the things I have to ask for a lot is for people to say my name the way it is. That's okay. I blame my parents for that.
So Marcia, we're gonna play a quick game just to get you loose and ready. I see you already got your cup and your glass ready for tonight. Yeah. Angel will be doing that shortly. She is going. Okay, so we have a game called This or That. So you choose either or, okay?
Okay.
So cuddle or oral sex?
Oh, terrible choice. I guess cuddle. I like them both a lot, though.
Okay, Mississippi or California?
California. I have to say that. I live in California, but I'm from Georgia, so.
I know it was a trick question. Let's see what you're going to say. All right. Patti LaBelle or Aretha Franklin?
Aretha Franklin.
Ooh.
I love me some Aretha. I mean, Patty's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. Patti is amazing, but Aretha's got my heart.
Yeah, I like them both. I love them both. And the final question for tonight for the people who don't know. Okay, going to see a therapist or talking it out amongst yourselves?
Both. The more help you get, the better. We all need people to reflect ourselves back to us.
Well, yes, that is so true. So, Marcia, can you please help us understand how to ask for what we want? Because a lot of people, including me, I really just share a quick little story about myself. I really feel like I'm always one who's giving, and I'm not always one who gets to receive what I want. And sometimes I be scared because I be scared of losing the person that I'm with. And, I have a big fear of being alone. It's a whole nother topic. But it's just like when I have you, I just want to make you happy and I forget about me. So how can I change that, Marcia?
Oh man, that is such a common thing. A lot of my clients actually deal with that issue, which is, and so I have a few things to say about that. First of all, you have to know what you want, right? In order to be able to ask for it. And a lot of us feel so much more comfortable giving than we do receiving that we don't pay attention to what we want. So sometimes we don't even know. So there's that. So like just note, like even noticing what you want is a whole thing that we could talk about. Like, how do you tell what you want? And then there's the asking part. And the mistake that I see a lot of people make is they wait until it's like a really important thing to ask for, and then they'll finally ask for that. Like once it's big enough deal to ask for, then they'll ask for that. But what I find happens is that, we don't usually ask for what we want. We ask for what we think we can get because we're so afraid of that no.
That's different. That's a different perspective. Wow.
Right. And so that piece about noticing what you want. And then what I would say, like what I usually work with a lot of my clients and my students on is ask for way more than you think is reasonable to get and be comfortable with getting the no. Right. So let's say like we were going to have a dinner, like we were having a date night and it was like, okay, if I ask for what I think I can get, I might be like, oh, could you get takeout from our favorite restaurant? And you would say, okay, sure, I can do that. Right. Maybe if I was feeling like taking a little bit of a risk, I might say like, can you get dinner from our favorite takeout? And then like, make sure the kids have done their homework and gone to bed. Right. And you might say, oh, I can't do the kid thing. Can you take care of the kids? But if I ask for everything I want, knowing that it's completely unreasonable, but like we're playing a game of like asking for everything and then like being fine with getting a no, I might be like, hey babe, can you like get dinner from our favorite restaurant, make sure the kids have done their homework and have gone to bed, like clean the bathtub out and, draw me a bath and then put me in the bath with my favorite book for like 20 minutes. And then I'll come out and then give me a massage and then we'll have some sexy time together. And, I might ask for all of that. And you would say no to like 70% of it because it's a weeknight and who's got time for all that. but you might say yes to 30%. Now let's look at that for a second, right? Because if I just ask for dinner, I get 10% of what I get one thing. I get 10% of what I want. If I ask for 10 things and you say yes to 3, I get 30% of what I want. But most of us are so afraid of the no that we would never ask for anything at all. We just are like, oh, I can't ask because I might get a no. It might be too much. I hear that a lot from people. I don't want to be too much.
So I was with you till you got to 30%, Marcia. I think that's low. Is that considered settling? Like, you get what I'm saying? So, like, what's a good percentage for you to be like, okay, this can work? Because 30% is very low to me.
Well, okay, so but this is the thing. Here's the thing. If it's 30% of what I hope for, like if I feel like I'm going to ask for what I think I can get and I'm only going to get 30%, it's low. That's low. If you're like, hey babe, let's play a game where we put everything on the table and like we know it's totally unreasonable and there's not enough hours in the day, but we're going to share so that we get into the habit of telling each other what we want. 30% is pretty good, I think, in that context. So the context matters. But yeah, if you're asking for what you think you can get and then you only get 30%, I would agree with you. I think that's way too low. But if you're asking for like, I want to tell you all the things that I might want. I want to tell you all my hopes and dreams. And then I want you to tell me the same thing. And we know it's impossible. So we know we're going to say no to a lot of it. But let's see what's in there that we could do that might be fun. 30% is pretty good.
Stay on script. In case you're just tuning in, we're speaking with no other than Marcia, an international recognized speaker, writer, coach, and expert on sexual communication, and so much more. You're watching Overnight Shift Show with Angel Lively and Rodney Wash. Angel will be tuning in, you guys, don't worry. But it's okay because I'm doing the topic for today is asking for what you want. We were just talking about like how much feel like we are not heard, you know, and we just feel like, for me, let me say me, I won't speak for everybody else. Me, I just feel like I just settled for a partner, and Marcia just gave some great gems about asking for what you want. And Marcia, I have some questions. So like, for sex, I am a sexual person. So I noticed that when I'm single, I'm fine, you know, because I can find certain people who are like, I could be my freakiest with. I'll probably like a 8 with them in a relationship. I'm probably like a 4. I suppress it because some people are not that freaky. So when you find this special person, Marcia, that you really like, and you just want to be with this person, but in the bedroom their sex stuff's like a 2. Is there anything to ask or like play around with stuff to make that higher?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of approaches to that. In terms of, obviously my thing is communication, like communicate, but that's kind of vague advice. So I would say specifically, you know, what can you introduce as a way to foster conversation about what y'all are into in bed when you're not in the bedroom? So I really like listening to like shows like this, right? Podcasts. I like Savage Love, Dan Savage's show, because people talk about all kinds of explicit stuff there. You know, watch if porn's like too aggressive, maybe watch like sexy movies together. Read erotica, share erotica. There's a lot of audio, like it's not visual. There's like audio erotica that's out now. And like, hey, I like this. What do you think? Or, you know, just kind of sharing it back and forth where it's not like, I'm not necessarily starting by saying, hey, you want to get freaky like this. I might float the idea because it's a little bit easier sometimes for people to like think about it, process it, maybe try it on intellectually before they try it on physically. If they know that other people are doing it too, right? So hearing about it from somebody other than just your partner can be a really good way. And it also can open up the sexual menu. So it may be the case that like, you know, I'm a 6 and I'm like pushing it down to a 4 because my partner's at a 2. And I'm like, I want to do the 6 stuff. But like together, maybe you also might find a whole other area of sex that you're really into that maybe you never thought of before you were with this person. So I'm a big believer in finding like as many ways to expand the menu of what you're talking about sexually as you can. And I find that other kinds of media, like whether it's advice columns or podcasts or audio erotica or whatever it is, like can be just a fantastic way of kind of opening up the conversation without being too like vulnerable on either side. Like it's a really, it's a helpful way to kind of get the conversation rolling.
Mm-hmm. And I know some guys are watching, and y'all are very quiet today. Marcia is here. So ask her questions. You know, like don't be scared. I'm comfortable.
We're here.
Y'all
can ask me anything. Trust me. I've been doing this for 20 years. There's hardly anything you can ask that shock me.
You know what? Somebody did DM me this question. I guess because I can't type in for job purposes, but they were basically asking, how do you go into it for what you want with your salary?
Oh. So I will start by saying salaries, like work negotiations, are not my area of expertise, but I do think there are some things that apply in both areas of relationships and negotiating at work, which is always ask for more than what you want, always ask for like more than what you think you can get, and be willing to negotiate from there. A really good piece of advice I heard about salary negotiation is like, get the highest number that you can imagine and like for the job, and go say it to yourself in the mirror like 15 or 20 times until you can say it to yourself with a straight face without like freaking out. And then I would also say, like, if you have any colleagues either in your company or at another company in an equivalent sort of position, talk to them about what they're making, especially if they're a white man, because white men tend to make more than everybody else. And if you know how much they make, it's a really good tool to leverage. So I would say do that.
Yes. Well, I hope that answered your question, Anonymous. Because they were like, please do not say my name. Okay. So, oh my God. So I have another question for you, Marcia. Okay. So picture this, Sicily. I'm just playing. I love Golden Girls. But okay, so when it comes to threesomes, having an open relationship. Let's just say you started off by it was just you and your partner. It was on a two-way street, no crossroad, no particular roads. It was one way.
Yeah.
And say you want to take a right lane or a left lane. How do you introduce it to your partner? Because it doesn't mean, because I don't want to say it feel like they're not satisfying your needs, but it's just you just want to explore more. Or when a relationship, or how long do you think you need to be there before you can ask a question about adding a third partner every now and then?
So I love this question because I used to work with open couples who were in open relationships for about 10 years. That was like my thing for a long time. So I would say there's a few things. First of all, again, talking about it as a hypothetical, sort of referencing movies or TV shows or advice columns is a great way to just sort of put the idea on the table. Like, other people do this. This is a thing people do, right? Normalize that this is a thing people do. Maybe we do it, maybe we don't do it, but people do this. It's nothing wrong with it. So that's one thing. But the thing that one of the mistakes I see people make with this is they like, if I'm coming to you, I usually have a scenario in my head of what I'm picturing for this threesome. And if I bring that to you and I'm like, hey, do you want to fulfill my fantasy? That's a different question than, hey, do you want to have a threesome? Because my idea of a threesome and your idea of a threesome might be different threesomes in terms of who that third person is. So like, let's say that, I want a man and you want a woman, or vice versa. That's one thing. Or maybe it's like, I want somebody that we know really, really well, and you want somebody that we will never see again. Like, that's another place where our fantasies might be really different. So I think it's really important when we have these conversations to sort of make room for the other person's interests as well. Like, not to take your desires off the table, because it's actually really important that you know what you want, but to also include like So I'm interested in this. Are you interested in this in the abstract or like in your fantasy life? What does it look like for you? And then seeing where the overlap is, seeing what the overlapping, like if we had a Venn diagram, like what, is there an overlap? Because the overlap is where the good time is. It's not going to be a good time if I'm having a threesome that I want to have, but you're miserable, or you're having the threesome you want and I'm miserable. Like that's going to just be not fun. So that's what I would say as far as bringing it up. And then as far as having it, remember that the third person has desires too. So it's not just like what happens a lot with couples is they sometimes sort of accidentally, I don't think it's usually on purpose, but they accidentally treat the third person like they're a sex toy and not a person. So remember that they're a person too, and like treat them nicely, like be courteous, like find out what they need to have a good time.
That's really, you know what you said, so now I really was like, ooh. So what if it's a person that you know?
Mm-hmm.
And your partner is just like, have you always wanted to have sex with that person since you know you've been doing this for so long? So what do you say to people who like is in that lane?
Like if I'm bringing it to you and I've got somebody in mind and it's somebody that I've had the hots for a long time.
Not say hot, y'all just both know. And
you
just like,
you just know, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So how would you handle that?
The challenge here is that some people ask that question in a very straightforward, like I'm genuinely curious kind of way. And sometimes people ask that question and it's a booby trap. So you have to kind of know what you're dealing with in terms of your partner, first of all. Like, I feel like it's always best to be honest about what's true for you, but also to be kind. Right? Like I find that that's the way that we go forward. If we're not kind and we're just honest, we end up being kind of a dick. And if we're only kind and we're never honest, we also end up having very dishonest relationships that like eventually we feel pretty squashed and like deflated in. So the kindness plus the honesty, I think, is always the thing. And so, what is kind to your partner is going to depend on your partner's personality and like, do they like enjoy like a competitive vibe? Are they like really naturally a host? Are they extremely like negatively, like they don't like competition but they fall into it? Like, so you got to kind of know your partner a little bit. But I would say like, if they're like, have you always wanted to have sex with with this person? Like, I don't like yes or no questions like that because there's not really room for what the actual truth might be. So, always and never are words I try to avoid. And yes or no questions, like I would be curious, like, what's the real question there? Like, are you wondering if I'm like not in love with you? Because baby, I'm in love with you. Like, tell me what's underneath that question. Like, what's the actual thing you're trying to ask? Because I want to answer that question. And a lot of times our partners don't know, but sometimes like that, when we show up with that curiosity and that care, it can make those questions go a lot more smoothly.
Oh, wow. So Shelly Ann said, you need to make sure if it's someone, there's guidelines. Okay. Make sure
everyone is comfortable. I would say you want to make sure everybody's comfortable whether or not you know the person. I mean, I'm a big fan of like, you want to, it's like, I don't know. I'm Southern. I believe in being a good host. So I just want everybody to have a good time. But yeah, I mean, as far as guidelines, what are the expectations? I think that's a great point. Like, are we hooking up? Like, are we going to have a like hook up with this person? Are we maybe just going to be like kind of flirtatious and like maybe do a little bit of making out? I think one of the things that is really challenging for couples when they open up their relationship is it's like we forget this whole middle ground we knew about in like middle school, maybe, of like there's kissing and cuddling and like touching boobs and like, oh, I saw you naked, and that those all have their own pleasures associated with them. And while going, quote unquote, all the way might be the fantasy, sometimes we can't handle that emotionally. And so it can be really a good idea to move really slowly, and to just take it at a pace that's comfortable. I like to say whatever the lowest common denominator is, like the level that all three of you are comfortable is the level you should play at. And that people shouldn't push themselves outside of their comfort zones, especially when they're brand new to it. I think it's okay to nudge your comfort zone a little bit, but you don't want to push because it always goes badly.
You know, because I notice women in this particular heterosexual relationship where the man and woman both want to try a threesome, but the man fantasy is like, oh, I want two women. And then the woman's fantasy is, I wish what I found shocking in court psychology today, over 60% of women who have a threesome want it with another male. And I was like, wow, you know, but I'm just like, everybody want to get down with the twang. It's okay. But what do you say that person to the female who wants to have that threesome with a man? And you had this macho man who's like, oh no, nobody else can do nothing, but it's like he wants you to lay down with another female. This is not you.
I mean, it really depends on the person, right? Like our person, that like how we relate to sex is intensely personal, and there's also a lot of different ways to have a threesome. Like, is her fantasy that she wants to be pleasured by two men? Is it that she wants to pleasure two men? Those are two very different kinds of fantasies. You know, is it that she wants some kind of a power dynamic or competition between them? Is that what's hot to her? Or is it that she likes the idea of them collaborating and being cooperative and like sort of showering her with attention and feeling like a goddess, you know? Those are really different fantasies. And so, you know, in all cases, I would say get curious and dig a little deeper to find like, what's the core nugget of the fantasy? Because that's going to tell you a lot more than what the surface, you know, you say threesome, I'm going to picture one thing, you're going to picture another thing, and the third person's going to picture a third thing. So digging a little deeper about what about it is hot to you. Not that I'm asking, it's not a trap. I genuinely want to know, what is it about that that's hot to you, so that I can see if I can actually do that, because I might not be able to go there. It might be too much for me. And if it is, you know, if you're the man in the relationship and it's like, I can't do it, I don't know how to do that, I don't know how to be in a sexual space with another dude, like even if we don't have our attention on each other at all, like that's okay for you to be like, I can't do it, it's too much. Like I think that's perfectly fine for anybody to say no to anything that doesn't feel good to them for whatever reason. But I think curiosity, I think, is crucial, because it's a really different fantasy to be like, I want to be treated like a goddess, to I want to serve two men, to like, I want them to compete over me.
That seems more fun than the actual threesome. Wine and dine me, please.
Yeah. I just want two men to give me a massage and feed me peeled grapes.
But I feel like what you're saying is we just need effective communication.
Yeah.
And sometimes more than one. I feel like I didn't pick the worst guys, Marcia. I don't know why. Because sometimes I really feel like, I feel like I overextend myself a lot, even when it comes to communication. I'm always trying to make sure it's my partner at that time is okay. Are they happy? Are they satisfied? And sometimes I just don't get a response. And I just be like, oh, why are you not responding to me? Like, I'll be like, I'm giving you all this good love, and look, it's me. I lost weight, like I'm sexy now.
Yeah.
and just be like, oh, okay. So what do you speak to those type of people who just feel like they love their partner, but their partner don't like to share anything?
Like their partner's not giving any feedback or not really.
None whatsoever.
I mean, I'm like, if the thing you want in a relationship is communication and input, you got to find somebody who's willing to do that. If somebody's not interested in doing that, it's not really going to be viable for a long time, I think. You know, and you might really like it. You might really like them, but sometimes what we're looking for is that sort of back and forth. You know, if Are you familiar with the 5 love languages? Have you heard of the 5 love languages? Yeah. So Gary Chapman, he's pretty homophobic, Christian preacher. So I don't generally recommend him because he's pretty homophobic, but the 5 love languages are useful. So we'll talk about it. But yeah, his whole model of like, how do you like to hear love? Is it words of affirmation? Is it gifts? Is it quality time? Is it physical touch? Is it acts of service? You know, your partner might be trying to tell you that they think you're great and sexy and hot by like doing your laundry and taking the trash out. But you need like them to look you in the eye and tell you that you're hot. And if they're not good at those words of affirmation, but meanwhile, they're doing all these acts of service as a way to show you, and you don't notice that's what they're trying to say, it can be a little bit challenging. But once you know each other's love languages, it's easier to like learn to speak your partner's love language. So if you need that verbal affirmation, you can say, babe, hey, I need you to tell me in words, not just like, I appreciate that you're taking the trash out and doing the laundry. And can you just say it with your mouth sometimes that I look hot?
That made me think, you know what, honestly, Marcia, I heard about it, but I really, you know, I guess you do more reading on stuff like that because he was mostly acts of service because like when I needed my car wash or like wash the clothes or I needed him to do something for me, he was always like there.
Like that,
you know,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like he would drop everything he was doing just to make sure I'm okay. Even when it came to like things, like that was like, but that was vice versa. I don't know if I was like, I'm a sugar baby, but you know, like he was just always. So that makes me think. I probably really need to read that book, but now he's homophobic and I'm a gay man. I don't know how I'm feeling like that.
Just Google it. It's all over the internet. You don't have to read his book.
So, okay, so coming from, you know, I feel like I didn't ask a question about our LGBTQ audience. Coming from LGBTQ audience, I know a lot of people who come from broken homes who doesn't. Angel is here. Okay, like, yay! Okay, let me add Angel really, really quick, Marcia.
Okay. Hi.
Hey, Angel. Oh my God, you're late, but you're here.
I'm super late. I apologize, y'all, but I am here. I am here. Hi, beautiful.
Hi.
I'm just picking. I'm really picking. It's okay. But we were just. Marcia is just a wonderful, great ball of joy. I really enjoyed her. We were just talking about active service Angel because, like, you know, how I was dating this one person, and I was telling Marcia about how, like, he would never say, I love you. Oh, you look sexy. Oh, you look good. And I mean, we did a show, Acts of Service, but you know, honestly, I don't really, you know, I didn't really like comprehend it. I'm just gonna be honest. And now when Marcia was like, well, he was probably like, what's the word you use, Marcia?
With the acts of service or
words
of affirmation?
Yeah.
Marcia.
Oh,
Lord Jesus.
So you can call her one name in that 40 minutes.
We've gone through it a couple times. It's fine.
So
my last name's even harder. My last name's Baczynski. It's got a lot of consonants in a row, and
that's why they left that alone. I'm already murdering your first name. So he was like the first. Yeah. So Marcia.
Don't look at the word. Just Marcia.
Okay. I feel so bad. We was having a good conversation. Okay. And she would have said like he was like acts of service, like where he would like do the laundry or like wash the car or do things I probably did by myself as being independent, and I have a partner, he was doing those things. So what do you feel like when you are dating someone, Angel, what do you feel like you need from your partner? Like, do you know how to ask for what you want, or do you feel like you settle?
Yes, I do. I have zero problems asking for what I want. I probably ask too much because then I think it could come across as though I'm never satisfied. But, you know, the reality is like, just because you get something in one area, if you start faltering in another, I'm going to let you know.
I love that.
You know, I'm just very transparent, very honest, but I know that my things are like all around words of affirmation. So I need somebody who's very supportive. I need somebody who is going to say, hey, great job on X, Y, and Z. Like, and just listen.
That's me.
So many different things that I have going on. Sometimes you just want to know that you have that person that you can talk to. And even if they don't understand it all, they're like intently listening and they can regurgitate it later where you don't feel like, I just told you this. And they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. All those things matter to me.
Yeah.
But Rodney's a touch person.
I like both. You know, I truly feel like I like both. You know, transparency moment during COVID-19, I went from like 175 to like 215. And when people was like, you don't really look like you're 215, but you be like, I gained a whole little toddler. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you just be like, I'm fat. They're like, oh, you so thick, and you know, you look thick. And I was like, no. So I went in the gym, so the gym open. I'm back down to 178. Praise God. But like sometimes you don't feel sexy. Yeah. And then when I was with my partner at that time, they were like, why you don't want to have sex? I'd be like, because I feel fat as fuck. You know? Like no, I feel like I'm squishy.
I think a lot of people are struggling with that with COVID. I mean, my partner and I have been in a conversation about our own, like, because we also are in California where we were with the smoke and the fires, like we couldn't leave the house for 2 months because the air was toxic, and we all just like ate our way through that experience. And I'm like, all right, babe, how are we gonna like get into shape and stuff? But it's not really about that. It's about feeling sexy for ourselves, feeling sexy for each other. So I think there's a lot around like, how can I just find pleasure wherever I'm at, and how can I like receive pleasure and not feel like I have to earn it? I think it's really important to not feel like you have to earn, like I have to comply with these standards, because like the fact of the matter is like we are all, if we're lucky, we're all going to age because the alternative is not great. You know, if we're lucky, we're all going to age. If we're, you know, and as we age, our bodies are going to change, our hormones are going to change. So I found that like the more that I can, I mean, it's important to hold a standard for where you want to, how you want to live your life, and like being active, I think is really important. And eating well is important, but the number on the scale shouldn't tell us whether we think we should have, we could have sex, you know, like that. I think being able to like
really the number, I think it's just how you feel.
Yeah. But I think we can learn how to like enjoy pleasure in our skin. And it sometimes takes a little getting over whatever is in our head, but that practice.
Tools that we can practice, things that we should be doing, or things that can help us be mindful of.
Well, I think one of the most powerful things you can do is spend time with yourself naked and touch your own body, and in like not just your genitals, but like rub your belly and just be like, ooh, that feels good. Like notice that it feels good no matter what size your belly is. You might not like the size of it, but the nerve endings are still there. The nerve ending, like your skin still feels things. You know, run your fingernails across your thighs, or like tickle your own, you know, collarbone, and just spend time with your own body to feel like, to see what you like, right? Because again, going back to the thing we were saying at the top of the show, like a lot of times we don't even know what we like or what we want, which by the way are different. I can get into that, but there's what we like and what we want, and we don't notice it because we don't spend time trying to notice it. And there's something really powerful, I think, about just spending time with your own body and being like, what feels good? Like, does it feel good to like lay on an acupressure mat? Does it feel good to roll around on the carpet? Does it feel good to like stretch? Does it feel good to jump up and down? Like, and find, not just doing it because it's like exercise and you should, but like moving because it feels good. And finding those things.
Can you share the difference between need, like, you know, what you like and what you want?
Oh, yes.
A lot of people get those misconstrued.
Yes. So here's how I define the difference. Here's how I define the difference. What you want is happening right now. It's happening in the moment. and it's context specific. So if you ask me, what do I want with no context, I'm going to be like, I don't know. I would like an outcome to this election, and I would like a ham sandwich, and I would like, you know, these are things I want, right? I want a ham sandwich. I want an outcome to the election. I want that cashmere sweater I was looking at earlier. Like, I don't know. But if you say, what do you want for the next 5 minutes? I'm going to have a much better idea of what I want. So one of the hard things is people will say, what do you want? And they give no constraints. It's too big of a question. So giving constraints. But what we want happens now. It's always now. And then there's what we like. So I like chocolate cake and I like sushi, but that doesn't mean I want it. Those are two of my favorite things in the world as far as stuff to eat, right? Or you asked earlier, cuddling or oral sex. I'm like, well, I like both of those. But which one I want is going to change depending on what's going on.
Exactly.
You know, if the 8-year-old's home, it's going to be cuddles.
Right.
No, you are silly, Jennifer.
But it's still helpful to know. It's still really helpful to know.
No, I'm sorry. Go.
Well, it's really helpful to know what we like, because then it kind of helps give us a menu of things we might want in a given moment. Mm-hmm. But also, if you don't know what you want, try narrowing the scope. Like if you're in bed with a partner and they're like, hey, baby, what do you want? And you have that deer in the headlights moment. And you're like, I don't know. Like, narrow it down. Like, what do you want me to do to you for the next 5 minutes?
Okay, so what would your advice be? I feel like I took over the show. Sorry, Rodney. But you had it for the last 40, so.
I did. So that's why I'm sitting back here looking handsome.
Okay, and I apologize if y'all already spoke on this. I don't.
That's okay.
But, all right, so let's say that you know that you are very timid when it comes to sex, like with new partners. Mm-hmm. But you want to like overcome that and be able to do exactly what Shelly Ann says. Like, you know, tell somebody what you want because you want to be able to receive and do what they want and you want to get what you want. Like, what are some things that you can do to become more open and expressive and not feel like, no, I don't want to, or, you know, just be more open.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I love to do with my clients, especially people who have that issue, especially if they're single, is write up what I call a pleasure profile. Mm-hmm. So, and a pleasure profile can include, take some notes. I love doing this with my clients. So pleasure profile can include all kinds of stuff, right? I generally start off with the 5 senses. What colors do you like? You know, what do you like to look at? What do you like? What sounds? What kind of music do you like? And just get into your body and like feel like what smells turn you on. Like, you know, some people it's like sandalwood or, you know, like that particular smell that your college sweetheart had in their, like whatever, like Old Spice deodorant, whatever the thing is. But like start to get into those things. So that's one thing. Other things that can be in your pleasure profile, stuff you've discovered that you like with other partners. So like if you like being tied up or you like having fingernails down your back or there's this one spot on your neck, write that shit down. Can I say that? Oops, can I say I was like, we're not on FCC. I was like, we're on the internet. It was fine.
Your kids should be in bed.
And so you want to write that down, right? Like, and that's the thing is I think we have this internal library of stuff. This is why that distinction between like and want is important. We have a lot of stuff we have discovered that we like. Doesn't mean we want it in a particular moment, but writing it down and having like basically creating like a little book for yourself or a Google Doc or something. How do you like to have safer sex conversations? What kind of birth control do you want to use, if any? Like, how often do you get tested? Like that stuff that can go in there too. You know, like, and just have it, when we have it written down, it's easier to not just talk about what we like, but it's easier to talk about what our boundaries are because we have it written down somewhere where we're accountable to ourselves.
Yeah. Making that vision plain.
Yeah. Just kind of having it clear. And it's not that you have to have everything figured out, but it's kind of, I like to work with my clients that it's a living document. And as you discover more things about yourself, or that used to be true, it's not true anymore because our bodies do change over time, you know, like, oh, when I was young, I really liked this kinky thing and now I'm not into it. Or when I was little, when I was not little, but like when I was younger, I didn't like that kinky thing and now I'm really into it or whatever.
Like, ooh,
like I always said I would never do that. Now it's my favorite thing.
Shirley said she likes, hold on, I'm sorry. Shirley said she likes some BDSM. It's a bit much for me. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Shirley. And Jeffrey said, just because you like it doesn't mean the person you're with can complete the task at hand. That's why you add a third.
Well, so here's the corollary of that, right? Just because you like a thing or want a thing doesn't mean the other person knows how to do it, is interested in doing it, feels skilled at doing it. They might feel like afraid to let you down. They may not be interested. Mm-hmm. Also, if you have that mismatch, it doesn't mean you were bad or wrong for liking it or wanting it. You're allowed to have your own, like we all have our own sexuality. And when we come together with a partner, I have my sexuality, you have your sexuality, and the place we play is where they overlap. Mm-hmm. But most of us have all kinds of stuff our partners aren't interested in.
So and then in those cases, because especially if you're in a relationship with them, mm-hmm. and you feel like there's a whole nother side that you're like depriving, mm-hmm. what do you do?
I think it really depends on the relationship. I mean, some people, I think they can very happily like masturbate to porn or like have their fantasy life or read erotica, and that they're very content with that it works for some people. For some people, it might be this like unexplored thing that they're just desperately curious about. And that might be like negotiation with your partner. Like, hey, is this something that, there's any way that we can like play with this? Some people like there's like online, and this is where, you got to be careful with lines about cheating or open relationships or whatever. But like sometimes online role play or going to see like, if somebody mentioned BDSM, like just like in video, like in games and stuff, like people used to do that all the time. You used to hear about like The Sims or whatever, having like whole affairs where they're doing like kinky things in The Sims. I guess it would probably be like in Animal Crossing now. I don't know.
Yours be so nasty. All them Simpsons be off the chain.
Well, somebody mentioned BDSM earlier, and that's a really common one where one person, they might be really happy with their relationship with their partner and they don't want to leave it and they don't want to change it, but they also have this other part where they're like, my partner's not kinky. I am kinky. I really like our vanilla sex life, but I also have this other part. And then, that might be a conversation about like having people where maybe I don't have sex with them, but I do kinky things with them. Is that something that we can work into our relationship? Or can I go see a pro dom or something? And, where people's lines are for that are all very different. And I would never say like, this is right or this is wrong. It's really about what's right or wrong for your relationship,
Do you think that people really would go to their partner and have that conversation? I feel like most people would be inclined to just be like, I already know what I'm going to get. So let me just go and slide over to, wherever, I don't. So
I would say that is not the starting point for that conversation. When I work with couples, and when I work with individuals too, a lot of the work I'm doing is the stuff that building a culture in your relationship, whether it's sexual or not, like, cause it could be about where you go on vacation, where you can put your desires on the table. And the simple fact of putting it on the table does not obligate anybody to do it. Right. But I can say I have this fantasy, and that doesn't mean anybody has to do anything about it. That we can talk about what turns us on, and maybe we go somewhere with that. But really, like, and once you have that culture where you can talk about things openly, then you can have that second layer of what are we going to do about it. Mm-hmm. But I would never start with, okay, so you should go ask your partner about having, hiring a pro dom or having a third party when you've never talked about any of this stuff before. Like there's a building up to that. That's really a lot more about listening, curiosity. I mentioned earlier on the call about how important it is to be curious about your own sexuality and about your partner's sexuality, and to like trust that you know, that person had a sexuality that existed before you were in this relationship with them. And if you guys break up or you die, that person's still going to have a sexuality that it doesn't belong to you. You're a guest. We all get to be guests in each other's sexual houses, which is a beautiful thing, in my opinion.
But honestly, for me, I'm okay. I'm not sure. So
I just talk a lot, so you should talk.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. That's what the guest is here for. You are a teacher. I'm going to take back and work on with me. So, like, when it comes to sex toys, I'm not really comfortable with sex toys because it doesn't. I feel like I don't know my body, and then I have to say, like, I don't know how to please my body unless it's just regular masturbation. So anything outside of, you know, I guess jerking the chicken, anything to do with my anal area, my nipple area, it's just like I don't know what to do with it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you
like what
stand in the mirror and just
like that.
What were you saying?
I said it sounds
So
like
what
you
do you
need to
say?
do that earlier exercise of standing in the mirror and just touching yourself.
With or without the mirror, you can just lay on your bed and do it. But yeah. But yeah, no, like I think, you know, so many people depend on their partners to learn their bodies, but you are your first and longest relationship. You were with yourself from the day you're born till the day you die.
That's deep.
So you might as well get to know yourself. And it can be challenging, especially, you know, there's so many people who are raised with a lot of shame about self-care, self-love. And I mean that in the broadest sense. I don't just mean masturbating, which I also mean masturbating, but not just that. Like a lot of us have been taught that like we shouldn't love ourselves. And I think we should. I think it's a lifelong relationship that you're in with yourself. So being kind to yourself and being curious about yourself and find like not just relying on whoever you can manage to get into bed with you to teach you about your body, but actually like being curious about it yourself. And like I said, doing that exercise, like to get concrete, like doing that exercise, or just like letting yourself move your body in ways that feel good to you. Like if, you know, just setting a timer for 10 minutes and being like, what is my body? If I was an animal, what would I want to do right now? Like maybe I want to like scratch things or crawl or like just like let yourself sort of play. And I think as adults, we're really bad at playing. We're very serious. But when we give ourselves permission to like not have an answer and not know and go find out, that's kind of what play is. And I also think that happens to be what makes sex really good too.
Well, that's a good segue into segue. This and every week, I'm sharing a new sexual position with you to try with your partner. It is all about trying something new in the bedroom. And today's position is magical mountain. Don't y'all like that word? I like this. It's called magical mountain. This is how you
Tell me
do
more.
it. Your partner, yes, this is how you do it. Your partner sits leg bent, leaning back on their hands and forearms. You do the same and then inch towards them until you make contact. Why? You both feel really connected, looking at each other. Increase your stimulation by grinding your clitoris against their pelvis. Oh, wow. Make it hotter. Slide ice cubes down their chest and let the cold water collect at the base of their pelvis. That sounds interesting.
I'm confused.
I need a visual.
Yeah, I'm like everybody's on there leaning back. So what hole they going in?
Okay, so let me read it back. This so do it. Your partner sits leg bent, leaning back on their hands and forearms. So I'm thinking like your knees are bent and you're leaning back
you're
like
sitting
this.
on your knees. Okay.
Yeah, in a way. And then you're inching towards each other until you make contact.
So it's not penetration, you're just making contact.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's no penetration.
Sounds like.
No.
Okay.
You're just. What is But this one is for the lesbians. I try to switch it up. This is a lesbian position. Okay. So I guess Yeah, so I guess you're grinding your clitoris with theirs, and
So you're like kind of
ice
getting
and stuff.
on each other's like legs or knees or something, kind of grinding.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see it. It's like that.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That could be fun.
Visuals for this exercise.
I know.
I love it. No, that was good.
But before we go, can you tell the people what you have going on? How can they follow you? Because I just truly, we both enjoyed you. Like you were just helpful. I got my notes, my profile, when I'm trying to learn my body more. Stand in the mirror.
Let me know how it goes. So you can find me on all the social media at Ask Marcia B, AskMarcia, letter B. And you can find me on the internet at askingforwhatyouwant.com.
I love that. Asking for what you want.
Yeah. And in terms of what I have going on next Thursday, if you go to my website and you click on classes, I think it's classes on the menu, you can see a link to it if you go to askingforwhatyouwant.com. But I'm doing a class on COVID, like building your COVID bubble and how to like do that safely, which is a lot of these same communication skills of figuring out what it is you want. How do you ask for it? How do you set boundaries? So it's a hour and a half class plus a half hour of Q&A on how to Marcia.
I thought I changed it. My bad, girl.
That's okay. And so it's how do you have boundaries in the time of COVID, and how do you stay connected to the people that you love through the holidays when you may not be able to be with them or touch them or hug them, but maybe grandma is putting some pressure to make that happen, and you're like, no, grandma, I don't want you to die, or whatever the family dynamics are. So and I'll be answering questions on dating and housemates and family and open relationships, because they're all basically how do you navigate groups of people is really the core of that. So I'll be doing that next Thursday.
Where is that again?
If you go to askingforwhatyouwant.com and click on classes, it should be there. You should see it.
Okay.
Yes, I will be taking your class. I really like you. I really love you. Oh
you.
My gosh, you guys. Can you believe the show is over? This has been a lot of fun. We want to thank our amazing.
Just have me anytime. Yes, I would love to come back.
So I can be on for the full show.
Okay. Just let me know when. Y'all are delightful. Thank you for spending time. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Because one thing I can say, I speak for both of us, a lot of people, like all transparency, don't know how to ask what they want. And I feel like you gave some great pointers to people like me who just feel like we just settle, we just settle because we just want someone there. We need therapy for that. I'm going to take it now. You know what I mean? It's just like, you just be like, ugh.
It's really vulnerable. It's so vulnerable to like bring that to somebody and to not know how they're going to respond. And that I love talking about it. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yes, well, thank you again. And I will definitely ensure that we reach out to have you back on. Yay. And to our amazing viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Rodney, thank you for holding down the fort while I was on other business tonight. But as y'all know, you can always follow us on social media at Overnight Shift. And you can check out the website at overnightshift.com. You can give us content suggestions, guest suggestions, and if you yourself want to be on the show, definitely hit us up and let us know. Just go to overnightshift.com/contact us. That is our show for today, and you guys know that every day shift happens, and we are here to help. So until next time, be blessed. Bye, everybody.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.